Darren. He stole some of my thunder. Up, brother.
That's a great point. Next time you're at a dinner party and you want to impress somebody, just tell them you own General Motors.
Yeah.
Our next speaker is Darren Yancy. He is a congressional candidate also for the District 17. Please help me welcome Darren Yancy.
Is this thing running?
Thank you folks for being here. God bless you for upholding this heat. How many veterans do we have here today? Thank you for making this possible. Without your personal sacrifice, none of this is here. I want to follow up for a second on what the gentleman said on cap and trade. There was 8 Republicans that voted for that travesty. 8. You can't be a Republican and vote for that abomination.
That's right.
You can't do it. Here's what's worse. There were 3 members of the Texas delegation of Democrats, Lloyd Doggett, Sheila Jackson Lee, and Bernice Edward Johnson. They voted for it. Folks, there comes a point in time you've got to put your country before your party and your personal political aspirations.
That's right.
Yeah, buddy.
It's not happening. Every one of those 8 and those 3 Texas Democrats need to resign tomorrow. Oh, and by the way, I've heard things. Did you hear that Chet voted no? Chet voted no? Well, let's shed a little light on that, shall we? First off, let's make it very clear. Chet Edwards has shed his conservative roots, and he is now a lapdog of Nancy Pelosi. All right? Now, let me explain something to you. A lapdog doesn't do anything without its master's permission. All right? I know for a fact he wasn't against the bill, because if he would, we'd have seen it on Fox, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, every media outlet. He'd have been screaming up and down, but it didn't happen. He got his master's permission to vote against it. Don't let anybody else tell you differently. Now let's talk about how do we change this. Everybody says we vote the rascals out. Okay, all right, I'm with that. But who do we put back in? We need to completely rethink the model of candidate that we want to put in public office, and that's what I'm here today to do, is offer you solutions. That's what I do for a living. That's what I'm going to offer you, because we have to retool our thinking. We have to get aggressive and knock the liberals down and out to get our country back. So let's talk about that profile. We need people that are energetic, that are high energy. They wake up in the morning until they go to bed at night. They're thinking how they can promote and pervert the conservative agenda. They want to knock liberalism down. Now, you know this profile of person. You meet them every day. You may be this person. We need those people, but that in and of itself is not enough. We need someone that can articulate and communicate the conservative agenda. And what do I mean when I say that? I mean someone that can come out and say, I want limited government, I want lower taxes, and I want capitalism, not communism, for my markets. You know where they stand. But there's one more trait they've got to have, my friends, to make this work. They've got to have a spine. And that spine does not be removed at the door for their party or their own personal agenda.
That's right.
Okay? They need to be able to have some conversation. By the way, this profile doesn't just go for U.S. Congress. This goes for any public office, school board, mayor, state representative, all the way up. We've got to rethink what we go through. See, there's some conversation on the federal level, and Arlene hit on it just a second ago, that's not occurring. You see, when your president comes to you and they want to get a TARP bill or a cap and trade bill that abates all of our rights, they have to be able to say, no, Mr. President, we're not going to violate the Constitution.
That's right.
Okay? When the president comes to you and wants to spend my children and your children and grandchildren I don't even have yet into bankruptcy with things like stimuluses and $400 billion earmarks that he said he wouldn't do, and a $3.5 trillion budget to nowhere, he has to look him stern in the face and say, are you out of your mind, man? We can't pay for that. Come in out of the sun, and oh, by the way, we want your credit card back. You're over your limit. All right? But here's the conversation, and Arlene tipped on it, that's not being held, and I'm going to go into a little more detail. We don't have people that are sitting down right now, as she alluded to, and say, Mr. President, show us in this document called the Constitution where you have these powers to remove a CEO and its board, to use taxpayer dollars to do a hostile takeover of a country and interfere with bankruptcy law so you can repay your personal cronies that got you elected. Show us where this power exists. It doesn't exist. We call that abuse of power, don't we? Let me tell you what I did find in the Constitution, very interestingly, under the House of Representatives. It's under Article 1, Section 2. It says the House shall have the power to impeach. Now that conversation needs to be happening right here, right now. And folks, it takes people with a spine to have that conversation, and it's not happening right now. This is why it's so critical that the involvement that you're doing today, you have to add a plan to it, and you must add resolve. Because, ladies and gentlemen, let me explain something to you. You're living the American dream, okay? But the American dream that you live today is in jeopardy of becoming a never-ending nightmare tomorrow. It must be stopped. It will be stopped. And I have faith in every one of you to go through. Now let's talk about the action plan that we're going to do to put this into effect. And by the way, I don't want to undersell our country. We've got a resilient country. We can come through this because remember this, my friends, America at its worst, is better than any other country at its best. Okay? You must remember that. Now, I've given you a profile. You're here, you're motivated. We're going to talk about an action plan. Our action plan is this. I want each and every one of you, and we don't have the time we had in Waco last night. We kind of shook things up. But I want each and every one of you to make a commitment, and here's the commitment I want you to make. I want you to make a commitment to go out and recruit one, just one candidate for public office that meets the profile I'm talking to you about today. If you will make that commitment, and it's a lifetime appointment, you've got between now until the good Lord calls you home to get this done. Just this crowd right here, we can affect the kind of change that will make a liberal cry. Okay? That's what has to happen to make this through. And let me tell you something, man. Angie and Toby will tell you what the Tea Party people, right now, the eyes of our country are upon the state of Texas looking for leadership.
That's right.
They are looking for someone to come out of this state to lead them to the promised land. They know there's something different about our state that grows leaders. Now, they can't figure out if we put it in our food, or it's in our water, or it's something in the air, but they know there's something different. Let me tell you, well, I think I know what it is. I think it's something special about a state that was once called the Republic of Texas.
Yeah, buddy!
You see, that makes things a little bit different. That makes you think a little bit different. I've got one comment and I'll wrap up here. I had a gentleman last night after the Waco Tea Party came up to me, and matter of fact, Mr. D'Alessandro, that's going to talk later, and said, "You guys give me hope." And I had an hour to think about that on the way home last night, and I thought, no. You give me hope for my wife and my 4 children that I brought into this world. See, I happen to live here in Burleson, have for 9 years. I've worked hard to build a home, a family, and a business that I know if I don't get off my fanny and do something now, it will not be there when my kids are there to take it.
That's right.
We have to act now. You see, the great thing that's come out of this, my friends, the silent majority, it's not silent anymore, is it? It's got a voice. And let me tell you what that voice is. It's loud, it's proud, and in the face of naked liberal aggression, it is flat out obnoxious. Am I right? We've got a message for Chet Edwards, the U.S. government, and anybody else that wants to abuse your rights as a citizen, our state's right, and trample on the Constitution. And the message is this, my friends. It is not a matter of if we're going to replace you in 2010 and beyond. It's a matter of who we will send to do the job.
Yeah, buddy.
My name is Darren Yancy. I'm one of your candidates for Congress. My website is www.darrenyancy.com. You've been a great audience. Please don't melt. And don't blow yourself up tonight when we do fireworks.
Yeah, buddy.
Thank you, Darren.